Now I hate to be that guy, but Lazer might actually be coming out soon. So today I just want to talk about why I think that and also what it would mean for the game at large. And yeah, of course, I know it's technically been out since 2017, but what I want to specifically talk about is it replacing stable as the main release. And right now, that's not the case. But I don't expect it to stay like that for much longer, and here's why. Now for starters, you probably all have already seen the recent video on the official O's channel. Now don't worry, it's not the only thing I've got, cause otherwise this would be a pretty terrible video. Instead, what I want to focus on is Peppy's pinned comment, cause in there he talks about how a release would actually look. Specifically, that Lazer will not truly replace stable. So if you don't want to upgrade, you can basically just stay on the old version. But if you're already sold on Lazer like I am and are just waiting for the PP switch to be flipped on, he even addresses that too, but he doesn't go into too much detail directly, just stating that we'll be seeing it sooner than we might expect. So if you want to know what he's actually referring to, we gotta check out another video. It's the latest community dev talk by O's University. Now it's about half an hour long and goes into a lot of detail, but the main points basically are that the backend logic for score submission is already done, but the validation checks aren't. Meaning that right now they can't confirm if a Lazer score is cheated or not. So of course, for the sake of competitive integrity, you can't have that, fair enough. But it's not like that's the only thing they'll need to consider. Cause there's still the question of how you're gonna deal with the leaderboards. Cause you can't directly compare Lazer scores to the ones coming from Classic. So of course you could have completely separate leaderboards. But that's something Peppy said he doesn't really want to do. And I gotta agree with him, cause that would suck. Alternatively, he mentioned that you could have a leaderboard with all the scores submitted under the Lazer system, and a separate one for using stable as well as the classic mod. Or mix all the leaderboards together and then have them sorted by PP, which would also be my personal favorite. And even if you personally don't care about PP, the amount you get on a map is still directly tied to how well you performed on it anyways. So on a per map basis, it's literally just a scoring system which doesn't screw you over if you get a 100 on the last note. Plus, having a PP value is still something all scores would have in common. But now for the last, and in my opinion also most interesting point which was brought up during the video. And this also ties back in to him saying that we might see the PP system sooner than we might expect. And that's that they might roll out PP to Lazer with a certain upwards threshold. Meaning that all the scores up to 100 PP for example, will actually give you PP. The idea behind that being that a lot of people are already starting out with Lazer, but can't gain any PP yet. So you could make them happy. And it would be a great test run to see if all the systems in place work as they should. Plus, it's a range where no one would bother actually cheating those scores. And this is something I could potentially see happening in the next 1 or 2 months. Now, why would I think that? Well, that takes us to the third and final puzzle piece. That's right, with how the database is currently set up. At the beginning of August, you will no longer be able to submit scores. And that is because with the way their database works right now, it will run out of space. Now, you don't need to understand any of the details, but this, along with some other stuff, led to them basically rebuilding the entire database from the ground up. And from what I could gather, that's also the same database which currently stores all the Lazer scores. Now so far, the scores from stable are still in a database which will run out. But once they get migrated over, I believe that will be the point where we will have full support for score submission through Lazer. And that's also why I personally believe that there's a good chance we might see Lazer by this summer. Like, there will probably be some score submission tests coming soon, and if they go well, there's really nothing standing in the way of the game actually releasing. Cause Lazer is basically feature complete already. Sure, there's still some smaller things which are missing, like storyboards or decoupling sort by difficulty from map sets. And something which I found out while recording the gameplay for this video. Please, let us move this and let us hide the cursor. But other than that, almost everything else is already done. But of course, there are still some things which I would love to see added. And even though I don't expect Peppy to add them, just cause some irrelevant YouTuber cried about it, I still want to go over them. And maybe enough of you will actually agree to where it does become a feature. First up would be to have map mods be directly visible in edit mode, which would just be a small quality of life feature, but would be nice nonetheless. The next one will be a bit more controversial, and that would be to remove the AR customization from difficulty adjust and instead make it a menu item. Cause in my personal opinion, it's no different from scroll speed in Mania. And sure, especially now that it gives PP, there's the argument that AR11 or really low ARs take a ton of skill to read and should be rewarded, but then again, so does setting this to a stupid value. And finally, the last thing I would love to see in Lazer, it's actually for Taiko. It's having fully hitting the big notes at least somewhat contribute to the final PP, cause right now, they are literally just extra effort for zero reward. But other than that, I really couldn't come up with anything else. But if you still have something which you would love to see added to the game, please definitely let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video and click here to watch the next one. And with that, see ya.